Hey, Coach Dennis, good to see you again.
Hello, my friend. Good to see you.
Hello, hello. Yeah, so the reason why I wanted to hop on this call with you was to discuss your new book that's come out, right? So for the people who are not aware yet, Coach Dennis wrote a book, an ebook actually, back in 2018. Was it 2017, Coach, or 2018?
Well, it actually was first published in 2015. That's
There you
my
go.
graduation year from Lesgaft University.
Yeah, so it was published in 2015, and it was actually your thesis for the university. And in it, it was a training methodology book, right? And it had descriptions of the basic training methods that you use and that you and your coach, Sergey Rashinsky, developed, right? But now you've come up with a updated and expanded, I'd say it's like twice as long version with new information and uh, new plans also. It's this one actually. Coach Dennis mailed me my copy with a dedication up front here. There you go. Yeah, it's an excellent book, and I'm just amazed at how much new stuff's in it. Well, I wouldn't say new. You've been teaching the contents of this book for a long, long time. It's just that you put it into writing officially, right, for everybody to see. So the first question is, Coach, would you mind telling us a little bit of background before about your first edition and what's new with this second edition, like just a general overview, and then we'll get into it later on.
Yeah, so, well, first book, it was adaptation for public of my graduation work from Lesgaft University of Physical Culture and Sport. And actually, the original title of my graduation work was the uh, training method for advanced kettlebell lifters, and well, basically, kind of, I was, you know, making a point of, champion features, of this methodology that it's effective for high class athletes, and when it's a graduation work, it's actually the more than the half of the work is a chapter of experiment where you have a tested group and common group, and you compare the results within the course of a time. And I did all that. Well, it was easy for me because I keep track of my own workouts and workouts of my students, and even by 2015, I've already done coaching for like 6 years. So I had pretty solid data to analyze. And well, really, when we compare the first edition book and the second edition that was published this year, it's more like, compare VHS video to Blu-ray. It's just much deeper resolution. So the chapters and the general structure of the book is the same. I just went into depth of every single chapter and fill it up with information. It's well, again, the first book was, I think, a little bit nothing wrong with it, and I just think that well, it was a bit of a hard read for absolute beginners. I think it was still a very good source of information for coaches and for athletes with experience who's already, done kettlebell sports, so they can pick it up, the topics I'm talking about. But for beginners, it was a bit difficult one. And also, through these years, I was receiving feedback from the first book, and there was like questions, lots of questions, like, for example, the training methods, or um, um, stages of a training cycle. This micro, meso, and macro cycles. They was named, but they wasn't explained exactly, what it means, and well, things like that. It took almost a chapter to break down, what exactly the variable method is about, or repetitive method is about. And I guess just was trying to, well, not leave anything unexplained. kind of break it down for as far as I can with lots of examples of my preparation and training programs ready to go. That's also the biggest thing, and that was the number one question and I would say recommendation for next editions of the book. When it was on the first, how about some basic training programs ready to go? And finally, it's in this book here for long cycle, for jerk, for snatch, and actually two types: workouts entry programming for beginners, like a 1 month, and advanced programming for 10-12 weeks. So yeah, right now I found a piece, about my training method. So that's, yeah, it's explained well, the best of my abilities, and nothing missed there now. And again, the goal was to give a person who wants to start his journey in kettlebell sport really be able to do it on his own, just page by page. When you go through this book, I see that it's quite possible to organize well, your training cycle.
Yeah, about that, coach, I wanted to mention like my own experience with it, because like you said, you wanted to write something for somebody who has zero experience and be able to do it from themselves. Me, I've been your student for 5 years. Oh no. Oh, wait, 5 years. And I can tell you guys that what Coach Denis writes, he actually implements it. Not like other people who will write you programs and they don't know who you are, or they just, they don't train anybody at all. They just sell the program. Coach Denis's program is what we've been using for the same 5 years. Not to say that it's monotonous, but the structure and philosophy and main principles behind it never change, which means that, as a beginner, you can take what he's written down and just implement it immediately. You don't need any advanced degrees to understand or use it. Yeah. So thank you, coach. You've done a great job of simplifying
Thank you.
the method. Yeah. So so that's a little bit of background and significant updates. Another one is I think you've put in a lot of more. Well, this is just for aesthetics, but it actually adds more flavor, and I really appreciate this. Colored pictures about number one, the graphics. There's a lot of graphics in this. Shout out to Regine who did the graphics. She did an excellent job. But also the second part of the book. Well, I should mention the book's divided into two parts. One is the methodology, right? The what, the why, the when, the nuts and bolts. The second one is Coach Denis reflecting on his career as an athlete using these methodologies. And you just provide so many, like for every lift that you did, jerk, wall cycle, snatch, you have an Excel sheet dating until what was that, Coach? 2005, I think, when you started lifting all your 10-minute sets.
Actually, 2001. That's when
Oh,
I
there you go.
started kettlebell sport with my first coach. Yeah, I have all of my workouts written down. Yeah.
So 20 plus years of experience of actual results tracking your
Yeah, it's it was I would say quite emotional part because well, even 5 years ago, I feel like I didn't really want to almost like jinx it, and start counting, and really analyzing my results because I still feel like I'm still working on it. And right now, well, I honestly and with how to say satisfaction, can say that well the main chapter of my sport career is written for sure, the prime, and it's kind of time to draw the line and say okay, what was done, and really put some analytics to it, and that's what I did. So I really you literally can count how many 10-minute sets I've ever done with 32s, for long cycle, for jerk, for snatch, how many reps I've done, and it's pretty interesting data you can extract from it. Was interesting, and well, that was a big part and foundation of all of this book, also explanation of training method, because anything new, or anything new I've learned, or anything new I've invented, I first try it on my own, experience on myself, and give it a good go to make sure that it's working, and then suggesting it to students. So I've tested my training methodology from many angles, and from my own experience, and then later from experience of students, and there's already several generations of students. I'm pretty confident for what is written there.
Yeah, and just to add to that, like you were saying, a lot of experimental stuff that you tried with yourself first before implementing it. There's this one memorable chapter or part where you talk about the equivalency between long cycle jerk and snatch. Specifically, you say that somebody who's deep into a long cycle focused preparation can easily jump into a snatch competition, no problem, and perform 80%, 80-90% of their maximum results. And that stuff can only come out from you actually doing it, and seeing it in your students as well. So I thought that was really, really cool.
Well, same as jerk is a not good idea. Jerk competitions is not a good idea to join from long cycle training cycle. That also comes from experience. Because sometimes you have no choice when you must, but I really know what it feels like. It goes one way or another.
Maybe in the third edition, a couple of years down the road, you'll include a double half snatch, because you've included that as well in your preparation. You just finished cycle, right? With the
Yeah, that's another training cycle. Well, it's I'm planning to by the end of the year to come up with a draft of our ranking tables for double half snatch. And it's not huge amount of data, but enough data to get a first draft of a ranking table, and it's a great exercise. Yes, we'll see. Yeah, it's definitely deserved his spot, among kettlebell sport exercises by all means. It's a tough one.
Cool. Okay, so I just learned about that right now. Guys, Coach Denis is coming up with a ranking table for double half snatch. We're all waiting. Okay. So I wanted to ask next, Coach. Social media is just crazy right now. Coaches popping up left and right. You don't know who they are. You don't know who they're coaching. But with you, I mean, there's evidence everywhere. Like, there's no doubt. So what I wanted to ask was, there are so many methods available right now, good and bad. What are the main mistakes that trainees should follow, regardless of whatever training method they're with? They could be following another world champions program, or they could be doing it by themselves. What are the mistakes that absolutely anybody who's training should not, commit?
Well, they shouldn't general advice is that we shouldn't underestimate the importance of light kettlebells, and shouldn't overestimate our own abilities. Which pretty much, wrapping up the idea that whatever you are trying, you need to start light and easy, because you don't know, and it's quite a complicated movement. So that's just a safety precaution. And when you're patient and humble enough, about it, well, you're taking your time, which gives you opportunity to understand better, because of course, at the beginning you can have emotions and excited, and it might feel great and easy, but if you will kind of overpace yourself a bit, you might just stuck, pretty deep, somewhere halfway or even earlier, and then it's kind of like a hard place to be, where you kind of like ashamed to roll back, because you already spent that much time and effort with, like, let's say, this weight, but you at the same time feel like you cannot really handle it, and you have a bad feeling about it, and it's like, there's then like a character kicks in, and you feel like, no, I can do it, and then your body tells you that you cannot, and sometimes you can, but it just a risk. So and yeah, anything new proved by time and competition result. So it doesn't matter how quick you want to understand something, or well, like if you're trying something new in your lifting technique, or in your or trying a new training method, you will be able to tell after a training cycle, which is, well, full size training cycle is 10-12 weeks, at least like 3 months. So you should invest at least that, if you really feel that it's worth trying. So that's at least you can give to it, 3 months of your time to really give it a good shot. When you just did a couple workouts, or yeah, it's not enough. It should, theoretical information is not enough really to came to conclusion.
Speaking from personal experience, everything you just said, that's me. So yeah, guys, listen to Coach Dennis and start easy. Like, don't overestimate your abilities. Yeah, the Bells will always win, whatever happens.
Yeah, they always weigh the same. Doesn't matter how many times you leave them. They're not getting tired to wait what they wait.
That's true. That's very, very true, Coach. Follow up to that, actually. From your own experience in coaching experience mostly, uh, have you noticed like a specific personality type which thrives on your specific methodology, the way you structure your workouts and handle the load, versus other methodologies that you've tried out and have seen?
Well, it's the best for orderly people, meaning the ones who like things parallel and perpendicular. So it's training methodology. Oh, it's true, probably not only about my method, but probably any training method in any sport, that it's requires dedication and consistency. And what's challenging, and that's not my words, I've heard it, and not once, and I'm not sure if anyone owned these words, but it's the challenge is not the exciting part, but routine, monotonous routine. That's the challenge of a training cycle, and often we have troubles to handle it. This just monotonous routine, because, well, it might be exciting goal of become a world championship or master of sport, or win these competitions, that competitions, go there. But then when you zoom out, you have 3 months of sweat and blood in your boring, maybe exciting gym, where you're going, nothing glorious really happens. You're screaming, you're sweating, and you're just lifting these bells, and you need to do it well. Every single workout you need to do well. You need to do your warm up, you need to do your cool down, you need to pay attention to technique, and even it's well, many things mark these check boxes, but wow, when you do it seriously and for a long time, wow, you get familiar with them. You know them all these checkpoints, about every single exercise. And the fact you know it doesn't mean it will work well. Like I'm doing kettlebell sport for third decade, but when it comes to, I don't know, like a jerk precision and like the crispness of the movement, you really need to make effort and pay attention to make it work this way. It doesn't matter that I've done it before or I can do it. I should do it. Literally, like put my focus and effort in it, and it takes energy and power. So it's kind of like, well, exhausting. I'm not sure if it's it's for sure a wrong word in terms of approach to it. You need to turn anything exhausting to exciting and interesting. You should you need to learn to like it. That's only the way for you to handle it. But I mean, it's it's quite a process.
Yeah, definitely agree. Would it be accurate to say, Coach, that like people who are a little bit too emotional, whether up or down, might find it hard because, like you said, it's monotonous. Meaning, if I have this workout, it's an interval, and I'm gonna crush it, and then I'm too tired. I give it my all, and then it just drains me for the next session, which is an important, let's say, a training competition set, and then I'm not able to hit the minimum that I was supposed to hit, and then now I'm down, and then just this up and down roller coaster throughout the training cycle. You think that that's? I personally think that it's a minus because when you have that, then your performance depends on how you feel that day versus what you need to do. Just stick to the minimums. It should be just you know it's something that you should be comfortable with regardless of how you feel. Would it be accurate to say that you should have like a more even temper during the training cycle?
Well, that's one way to look at it, and yes, but also it's even above that is your motivation, and uh, you should you should enjoy the training routine. That should be your main motivation. You should be uh, really enjoying, or excited, or like to actually working out this particular way. Because when you're at the beginning of your journey, um, well, speaking of me personally, I choose kettlebell sport because it just was a way for me to stay in shape. It's uh, just I find it a very interesting and challenging workout, and I feel like it can make me a better person, just a better athlete. Just well, well, I want to say improve health, but well, in a general overall meaning, because I think it's healthy to be uh, um, symmetrically and equally developed, from all of the abilities. It is good for your heart, it's good for your brain, it's good for your joints, um, uh, uh, for your skeleton to be endure and strong and flexible, and taking care of your body this way. And that's the source of my patience about the sport, because I'm not rushing anywhere. I don't see the end of it, and I don't want it to end. I well, maybe I'm not anymore in the national team. Probably at some point I will start lifting 32s, but well, because it's kind of like, any activity have its extremes, and that sort of extreme, when you go, towards 32s. But I really enjoying, this type of training routine, and I'll be doing it for as long as I can walk. And that's why, I don't feel any exhaustion, of doing these training cycles one after another. It's like, you understand what I'm saying? That I'm not doing it because of the coming competitions, and I'm impatient to stand on this platform, or impatient to get this rank. Well, I'm not against it, and well, it feels like a fair reward when you eventually won something or get a rank, but it's a hard motivation to handle if it's only motivation, because it's burning you, it's very immediate, and it's quite a long journey towards it, and it's almost will feel like, you want to get it, and like you take a breath before you start your journey, and you want to make exhale when you get it, but it's a long time to hold your breath, for who knows, and we don't know for how long it will take, even if the quickest scenario, it's still accounted by years, and for someone it's a few years, but for someone it's more years, many years, and that's okay, that it takes, different time, for someone longer or shorter, as long as enjoying the training process, and because um, it just keeps you healthy, it keeps you fit, and that's what you're grateful for, the sport, because all the sport ranks, it again, it's like a spikes of extreme, like a performance that you strike once in a while, um, and while sometimes we need to learn how to strike, it's like, even if you're great talented physically person, you great athlete, you still need to learn how to compete, and that's lots of to learn how to compete. It's not only it's your competition strategy. Well, it can be a strategy in terms of like actual physical performance. I don't know how you pace yourself, but then it's also like a mental strategies. How you like concentrate for this set. The type of like mental strategies. You want some, I don't know, motivation music or relaxing music, and like what kind of surroundings you want. It takes time to find out. You don't really know, and there's no really a formula for it. For someone, heavy metal works before workout. For someone, it's Edith Piaf. And uh, it just takes time. And because competitions happen not as often as workouts, workouts you do like 3 times a week, let's say, and competitions, well, maximum once a month. Probably more rare. So that's why it's kind of even a bit slower process. So that's why, sometimes it might take time for you to be a good competitor and finally start to perform well in public. And it's also, you look on it as a process. It's not like, oh, I lost these competitions, I fail. No, you don't. Why you should win if it's your first competitions? You never done it before. You're not good at it yet in competing. And one cannot be without another. You should be a great athlete in a great shape, and you should be a good competitor. You miss one of this, and you will not compete well. So you just keep pushing and keep pushing, and even my thinking was like I remember my first championships, of Russia, even when I just was struggling, with getting my 10-minute set and working for Master of Sports, and I was looking for like guys like Igor Morozov or maybe Eduardo Khamenko, Anton Anasenko, Ivan Denisov, and I thought, yeah, these guys are great, but I was telling I'm getting there, and my main ace is that I'm young. I'm young, and you guys like already maybe halfway, maybe almost done, but I'll come next year, and I will come year after next, and year after next year, And I'll be working out all these years, every single workout. I promise you, I will not miss any single workout. And each next time I will come stronger and stronger. And even all what I need now is just extra 3, 4 reps, if 5 is great. And I will just take my time and I will make sure that I'm adding these few reps each next time I'm showing up, and I'll be showing up, I can promise you that. And you can try to add also as many reps as I adding per year, and maybe you'll stay ahead, but maybe you'll not be able to pick it up, and maybe you will not be there even in 5 years, but I will be there. I know that. That was my always approach, kind of this like a long thinking strategy, because I knew that I'm here for good in this sport. I'm not going anywhere from there. And I just was making sure that I'm making a little bit of a progress, but I never was anxious to win it right here, right now. When you look on your division, in this particular moment, and if you are 60 reps guy, so what's the point for you to look on 80 reps guys? You're just not there yet. They just you're not speaking same language yet. So you're looking on your guys, like there's a groups, in competitions, and that's a 60 rep guys, 70 rep guys, 80 rep guys, 90 reps guys. So you're just cruising around the 60 rep guys, and you're thinking, okay, like today, with the best, scenario, if I'll really do my best, so I will do my pace 6, and I might squeeze like 3 extra reps, or like 63, for today. That's my very best. And you're just trying to do that, and maybe you will be able to beat like 60 rep guys. And then when you will go away for another training cycle or 2, and then you get back, and here we go, you're already a 70 reps guys. And now you're trying to just do your best in this division, and so far and so forth.
Wow. So that was a really, really unexpected but in-depth answer, coach. It's just about, doing the thing for the sake of the thing itself. It's good to have rewards, but if you love something and you enjoy it, you'll get much better results long term.
Well, it's much less working motivation, lasting motivation. It's exciting motivations of winning. They're more shorter term.
Shorter term, yeah. I have a question actually, coach. I'd like to jump back to the book for a while, and there's a chapter there which says where to begin. I have it right here actually. It's page 52, where to begin, and I'd like to read an excerpt for it because I have a question. So in it is, a program for somebody who's starting from zero, and you say that, if the athlete is able to complete all the tests on the first attempt without having to redo any of the cycles, then there's a possible chance of getting a master of sport rank with 32 kgs by the end of their second year. That's pretty quick. Yeah. And you say that you say here, this is a very hard mission to achieve, and probably only 1 out of 100 athletes who have attempted this have succeeded. It took me 4 years to become master of sport, but the training method I used wasn't nearly as effective as the one I currently employ. That's very interesting because number one, first question is, what were the methods before that that were out there that you saw and that you now consider in hindsight, like, yeah, this thing could have been done better this way, so you improved it with your system, etc. Could you be able to talk about that?
Yeah, because I've started kettlebell sport in 1999, and up to 2001 it was no coaching at all, and I just was a self coaching, but it was different me. It was 16 years old boy, and I was just wow. I was doing sets, reps wise, reps based sets. Like, well, kind of like, I had experience by then with some like weightlifting, like kind of bodybuilding programming, and I basically was trying to do something like I was doing with the barbells, for squats, for deadlift, kind of like, reps wise, like progressions, was using different weights of kettlebells in the same workout. And well, region where I was growing up, Kaliningrad, haven't much of professional lifters. So through the whole history of a region, it was, well, actually another student of mine further, I think he got Master of Sport. And well, there probably was, maybe like less than 10 Master of Sports, but MSICs, only 3. And I don't think anyone got MSIC after me up till now. And I've got my MSIC in 2000, 2000. Well, I've hit the reps 2008. I got it like maybe 2010, but I also actually was even in St. Pete by then already. So I mean, yeah, it was Mikhail Babushkin, very first one in 90s, and then he, like after him was no one, and then Eduard Akhraменko was MSIC in 2000s. Well, and then it was me in 2010s, but I didn't know Eduard back then, and basically it was like the highest guys was CMS guys. So I mean, it was some experience exchange, but guys wasn't like very advanced. That's all. So it just was a kind of a self browsing, and then I've got upgrade. Well, it was a lot from where I was to Timofey Nikolaevich, the Eduard's coach, and well, his training method brought me to MS results, and kind of we even like exceed MS. We've got to low 70s with him in long cycle. I think when I left Kaliningrad in 2005, I had 71 rep, I believe, of long cycle, which was, well, less than halfway to MSIC. Like MS was 65 and MSIC was 83. And well, it's a few things, besides the training methodology. Well, honestly, Eduard technique, like when I'm watching it, there was some things, that even can be, maybe improved a bit in cleans, and my technique was much worse. I was like pretty stiff, so I wasn't efficient lifting, and there wasn't much of work on it. And it's kind of through even St. Petersburg part, like I was working on my technique on my own, and well, that's actually this training method I'm teaching now. It's not just a pure methodology of one coach who was coaching me. It's they all together. There's like some GPP from experience from Timofey Nikolaevich experience, and he's actually the one who was making me doing a double snatch with 32. So this double half snatch I'm doing now, it's sort of something that I've done before. And with like this 2 kg increment, that's a Rudnev thing. I give all credit to Sergey Leonidovich. That was his thing. Like when first IKSO seminar, that's when I've heard of it. And well, before that, we even haven't 2 kg increment bells at our gym. With Sergey Rachinsky, it was mostly just 24s, a bit of a 24s, and 30s. There was bells around 32s. It was like 30, 31s, 33, 34s, but I don't think we had 28s. And it wasn't a big deal. 28s, like right now, 28s considered is kind of halfway weights, semi-pros, and many guys doing 28s, but it's actually still, means nothing in Russia. There is no such thing as semi-pros. There's 24s and 32s, and there's no competitions on 28s. And also that's why, like, well, I don't really think that explanation, because now I'm clearly understand that it's very important belts and you need to leave them, but it wasn't that obvious back then. And so that was a huge, additional tool to Sergei Rachinsky methodology. And then, experience of working out with Johnny Benitez later, in 2010s, also, his famous pyramids affected. So it's, it's literally even through these 2.5 decades, like you see the whole mutation of a kettlebell sport programming. There is, well, it's anything like, here we go, look on martial arts, where martial arts now, it's all mixed martial arts. It's like, it's so hard to find a karate studio or a aikido studio. It's more like exotics now. But if it comes to like functional, practical martial arts, that's a mixed martial arts. That's, well, like Brazilian jiu-jitsu, but, well, they all kind of, experience exchange, they all impact one another. And if I know it's correctly, from what I've heard, actually Bruce Lee, one of the first who start combining, different styles, and using not like just a pure karate or wushu or aikido. He was like, doing different things. Well, and here we go now. And so with a kettlebell sport, also everyone right now, agreed on 2 kilogram increment, and like well, several rules. So yeah, well, again, sorry for a long answer, but it's it just wasn't that advanced. Yeah, wasn't that advanced, but it's not exactly, the points that, or if I had this methodology, I would have done better. You're like, you never know. Methodology was missed, but excitement was there and hunger was there. So I wouldn't. Well, I mean, it's a scientific guess that, of course, it's logical to use more effective and modern methods, but even in the new world, it's still a challenge, because it's just a physical lifting, to achieve excellence. And, well, sport ranks, MSIC, MS ranks, that's extremes, and extremes are rare, through any generations. And I mean, there is no way around it. It's even you have a best training methodology, it still will takes all of your talents and all of your time and all of your patience to get it done. Uh, but you never know till you will get a shot to it, and you're willing to give a shot to it if you feel for it. If you, well, and if you're just enjoying in general the thing, you're cheering for this thing. That's, I think, that the honesty, that's kind of people we need in sport, and later even in the organization boards, people who feel for sport, not just there for business. It's a business, to get to win the world championship. It should be some patience in it to really, do some good. Well, and if you're an organizer for sport, but if you're just an athlete, well, you just do good for yourself, and you might get, the stars, you might not, but you'll definitely have a good time doing it, trying, good time trying.
Awesome. Another excellent answer, Coach. With that, I wanted to ask, like, well, I just thought about it right now. How do you feel? I mean, okay, so we're at that point where, modern methods are an improvement, meaning let's take, for example, the 2 kilogram increments, right? Everybody agrees now that yes, it's beneficial. Everybody benefits from it. What about how do you think that people well, what I wanted to ask about was like the 5 minute sets. It was like people only train for the 5 minute sets. And with this, I think you and I have talked about it in the past where you felt that 5 minute sets are good as an introduction, but it doesn't really, because there's this thing where now where you're like a 5 minute master sport or a 5 minute master sport international class just because you can lift 32 kilograms. Uh, you've already expressed your opinion to this to me, but would you be able to uh, explain it again why this might be counterproductive or may not be? Like, what's your opinion on this?
Like alternative, we can call it, yeah, alternative events, because there's now even more exercises. There's a still one arm lifts around, and well, time frames are also different. It can go short to 5, it can go long to like 30 minutes, 1 hour marathons. Well, actually, that's quite subjective, because, well, someone came up with this 10 minutes, mark in 50s, and we just following it, and well, actually, well, it was first there was no such thing as a time limit because it was just beginnings of the sport, and when no one ever done it, and we just invented the sport, well, obviously, kind of sets were short. So guys, was someone cannot clean 232s at all on his chest. Someone can do 5 reps, 10 reps, and that's why at the beginning the organizers, so there's no point even to mark the time frame, and just kettlebell sport competitions was okay. Jerk, start. The winner is who get the most reps, but take your time, and a few years later, like guys like Babushkin was doing this jerk 32s for 2.5 hours, 3 hours long, and then judges, starts to get bored. Well, I mean, it starts to get exhausting, to well, besides lifting, it starts to exhausting to watch it, to judge it, and it's definitely, sport get to the point where okay, we need to fix that, and we need to now mark the time limit. And actually, I've never it's never came across me any explanation of such decision, when like back then, why it's a 10 minutes. Well, it's well, like for example, at least in imperial system, like like me, like now living in States, I kind of get a bit used to to imperial system. There is dozens. It's not really 10 based length measuring and weight measuring. It's this odd numbers, and probably if kettlebell sport would been invented in like in America, they most likely came up with 12 minutes, not 10, because it's more common. The population is more common with just dividing by 12, 12 inches in a foot, um, but it was 10 minutes. And well, when you look on it through physiological perspective, so it's definitely it's not anaerobic performance. It's kind of in this like odd spot where it's like completely, well, you cannot tell, you cannot say that it's like completely aerobic sport. It's a weightlifting, and it's time based, and like if it's a 5 minutes, it's more like of like a actually anaerobic. And well, again, it's well, not dealing, that often and much with like biology, and it's kind of maybe numbers like slipping away from me a little. It just needs to refresh it. But as far as I know, that the longest you can run on glucose is like a 4 minutes. This like an anaerobic performance, the longest you can last if you develop a good size liver. But that's it. After that, you're running out of your inner resources, and you need the oxygen to perform. So actually, this 5 minutes is kind of fall into almost like an aerobic kind of performance, from physiological perspective. And 10 minutes, there's a whole different animal. You're using a whole different resource. It's like I don't know, compare gasoline engines to solar batteries, sort of a thing. It's like maybe less effective, but it can run forever. Whereas, gasoline, it's like whatever you have in your tank. Uh, 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 so, and again, any performance, you can make it tough. You can waste yourself well, if we're talking about track and field and 100 meters, the way Usain Bolt running it, that's 9 seconds is enough for him to completely wipe, drain himself. So, of course you can perform something extraordinary in 5 minutes, but I more, look on it from just a heritage perspective and traditions of sport. Maybe, it's funny to say like this about myself, but, time flies. Like, I kind of like, well, not like I'm old school, but yeah, it's, not almost nostalgic, things, because that's what my career was about this 10 minutes. And well, it's kettlebell sport running. Well, it's this whole new event start to pop up really just the last decade, maximum two, but before that it was nothing but 10 minutes. There was, I think, it's a half marathon, so it's kind of like original pure standard. And well, and that's how it's kind of like this kind of ultimate measure of or most acceptable and respectable scale of measuring your excellence in kettlebell sport, what you can do with bells, like what you're capable of doing in 10 minutes. And from what I can see is that the best way to get ready for 10 minutes is during 10 minutes. Uh, uh, it seems like it's kind of toughest mission to accomplish. Well, when you compare 5 minutes to 10, it's kind of obvious, it's twice as long. But when you compare one arm to two arms, uh, it, like for me, it's also quite obvious, just a number of arms, you're using, and the weight you're lifting, and conditions of breathing you are in, and rest positions. It's just way more challenging. Yeah. So well, so that's why I'm standing for 10 minutes as ultimate challenge. I'm not saying that it's wrong, or better doing this all alternative lifts, but I'm just saying that 10 minutes is probably the most serious challenge you can take.
Yeah, thank you. Super interesting answer, Coach. My favorite story was when Coach Rudnev was telling me back in the 80s, where people were lifting 32s without time limits, and then their wives or girlfriends would like bring them food during the set to keep lifting,
Yeah.
and the judges were falling asleep, the audience was falling asleep. So, yeah. Uh, and also, what's this? if I'm not mistaken, I think it was also Coach Rudnev. Yeah, it was. It was also Coach Rudnev who said that we are the only, well, kettlebell sport. Kettlebell sport is the only aerobic or cyclical sport that has weight categories.
Well, weight categories and using weights for performance, because other, like all cyclistic sports, they all calisthenics. Well, like rowing, you kind of can tell that you go against the water resistance. You're pushing the oar, but it's also the moment you take it off the water, it's, well, because of this counterbalance, it's weightless. So you have a moment of completely weightless, phase where, well, you kind of, if you drop kettlebell's weight, well, from the top to the bottom, but you then dealing with this whole, acceleration, in gravity force of it, that it's not 32s anymore, it's probably 64 each bell, that's multiplied by, the speed of a fall. So, yeah, it's quite a unique mix.
Have you ever tried long distance lifting, like 30 minutes or an hour? Have you ever-
Yeah, I've done marathons. For Jason Dolby, I was competing in 1 hour long cycle. I was doing always one kettlebell, and well, I never was really training for it. Well, mostly because I just was in national team and just was a very well, it was almost a duty. There was no. I was trying to avoid all as risks the best I can. To not do any risks. To compromise my preparation. So it just was primary event, and I was just going for this. Marathons, well, from whichever training cycle I was, and that's why I was going carefully. Wasn't really any plan for pace, measured before. So I never really did my like absolute best performance, but honestly, yeah, it never really grew on me. Like I don't feel excited much about doing 1 arms.
So it's really just a personality thing. Like you said, the 10 minutes is just an invention that happened to pop up somewhere in the world, and then okay, these are the rules. But as you've said, or as you've expressed, it's really just whatever you enjoy because you can make anything as easy or
Yeah,
as hard as you can.
yeah. Because our ultimate goal here is to stay healthy, and health is not about extremes, and about ultimate challenge. Well, at some point, of course, it's hardening your character, when you challenge yourself hard. But uh, well, it's uh, it's you cannot take it for too long, and of course, the healthy lifestyle in more moderate, you know, effort kind of work, and 1 arm lifts give you just that.
I just had another thought, Coach. Like in your experience, have you had or handled or know anybody who's semi-professional or maybe a high-level athlete in another sport, and then their GPP is exclusively kettlebell training, like kettlebell sports style training? Do you know anybody, or have you seen that type of mixed training?
Um, short answer is no. Uh, I never saw anyone, any professional athlete who's for GBP doing kettlebell sport only. And well, I don't think that anyone will, because well, GBP is a GBP. It's a general physical preparation and it's filling up the missing spots, and it's different. For even for the same guy for different training cycle, and sometimes you feel like you need more endurance, sometimes you feel you need more strength, and like my GBP, we even with you, under your coaching did some Olympic rowing, that was a time for it, but I don't feel like that's something I wants to do for GBP all the time. It was a great experience, but it's again depends on the training cycle, and sometimes bells are so hard that I need something easier for GBP, I don't looking for most effective GPP. I just won't look for something just to maintain, just conditioning. And sometimes I feel like, okay, I feel like I want to push a little bit harder. But it's definitely a tool of, conditioning for, some sports. And well, I have experience with martial art guys like Krav Maga, Olympic wrestling. Well, here in States, there's a few guys, baseball players. I work with soccer players, functional sports, sports that, well, games mix martial arts. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just want to throw in there, like I remember you're dealing with fencers also.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's Reyes and Kovas and Sandro. Yeah, that's and Ryan. Yeah, he was a coach of a Berkeley fencing club. Yeah.
Yeah, the way I think, or the way I see it, like from my experience, also kettlebell sport training.
I
We're not.
also was working with a frisbee team.
Oh, would you like to say a few words about that? Yeah.
No, no. I just saying that it's
No,
another example of a sport who was trying kettlebell sport for GPP.
they liked it. They're like
Oh yeah, yeah.
something different for sure. But yeah, anyway, I was saying like when we say kettlebell sport as GPP, we may not be even talking about strict 10-minute sets, but like, the principle behind it, going for distance, trying not to put down the bell. You can even vary the exercise within the 10 minutes. So yeah, the way that I see or I've seen people benefit from it who are already in another sport is if there's nothing that beats kettlebells on space and time. Because the tool is just a ball. You can keep it at your house. And the workouts are super short. Like there's nothing complicated about it. Like I just said, the function of GPP is to just, not to kill you, but to just, plug the holes that you feel you may be missing. And I feel like
Yeah.
talking about, yeah, accessibility and time, kettlebells, nothing can beat it in that sense. Could barbells be better? It depends. Yeah, for sure. But if we're just talking about something I need now and I need it efficiently, bells are your go-to for sure.
Yep.
Yeah. So anyway, Coach, that's all the questions I have for now about the book. Thank you so much for hopping on this call.
Always great to talk to you. Right. Yeah.
We're actually, yeah. So I'd like to announce, or we'd like to announce that we're having our first in-person certification outside of the U.S. Coach Denis is flying here into the Philippines with our special guest Ivan Markov, current absolute all-time world kettlebell champion and record holder. This is something exciting. Coach, would you like to invite our listeners to this event?
Yeah, I think it's a unique opportunity. Yeah, well, it's simply getting rare now, in-person courses, and wow, my last in-person international course was before pandemic, so it was a quite a break, and I think Ivan, he's well, one of the most interesting kettlebell lifters now to talk to. He's strongest biathlon lifter in the world in a jerk and snatch, and he's on his peak. And I'm not sure he's reached his peak yet. So it's a very interesting moment, to see him blooming now, and he's absolute beauty. His technique is beautiful, super efficient, together with his great physique, and he's sharpening his skill competing, what we were talking about. So he's getting better and better. I can see he's getting mature, at competing. Each next competition he's showing up. You can see that he's building his confidence. So yeah, it's. I think it will be really, really interesting course. I'm excited and pumped myself, about it. To teach this course together with him, and well, we'll basically wrap up the whole kettlebell sport because he's the best in the world in a planet, in jerk and snatch, and I once was in long cycle. Yeah, here we go. That's a big three, and well, we'll see. Maybe we'll have time for some double half snatch if someone wants, something even more painful than long cycle.
Awesome. Can you tell people where they can, find you? I mean, you're on Facebook, Instagram, social media, all that. Where can people connect with you if they want to find out anything about your course, your coaching? Coach Dennis,
Yeah,
by the way, Coach Dennis answers all of his emails and messages. So this guy shares everything with everybody. He's such a friendly coach. I've known him for more than 5 years. Don't be shy, guys. So, coach.
It might take a few days, so don't take it personal. But I will for sure will respond. That's for sure. And that's a Denis Vasilev Kettlebell, my first last name, and the tool I'm lifting. And with this word, you can find me on YouTube, on Instagram. That's my website, denisvasilevkettlebell.com. And so if you will connect with me through any of these medias, I'll be happy to chat.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Coach.
Yeah, thank you for finding time and inviting for this interview. Always a pleasure. And I'm looking forward to see you in person finally. Without all these headphones and cameras. It's great. Yeah. It's working well, but it's time for a handshake and hug.
For sure. Right. Talk to you soon, Coach.
Talk to you soon.